In the last week, there's been a couple creators come out with videos talking about the overall reaction that people are having, I guess, in the comment sections regarding promoted sponsored content, especially regarding Wizards of the Coast and whether or not people are getting paid to or not to talk about the new D&D 2024. So I actually want to give you some perspective as a TTRPG content creator who has focused on talking about other systems in the last year. Talking about other content that isn't D&D related. And as a streamer, actually, by the way, yeah. So a majority of the content that I do these days, at least whenever I'm writing content, is for my own boutique system, Vagabond. Vagabond is something I started making kind of in response to, like, I just wanted control of a system that I felt good writing for, instead of constantly cobbling together a bunch of homebrew rules for D&D 5e. I eventually set out, made Vagabond in the way that I wanted to make it. Over the course of the last year and a half, I've also covered a bunch of other systems. We have an issue as creators whenever we try to branch out and cover other stuff that isn't the immediate flash in the pan stuff in the TTRPG scene. Our fluctuation in like our overall ad revenue is absolutely insane. Okay. So like if I am doing a video where like I'm trying to do a video essay or whatever, and I'm trying to cover another system and I do all the work, put the work, whatever. And that video gets like, 5,000 views. And yet I'm out here saying like, oh, okay, well the new Ranger is trash. And like, here's, whatever's going on. And that gets 20,000, 50,000, whatever views. What am I going to be looking at doing? I also felt a little bit crazy. I know, sorry, this is going to feel a bit like off the cuff. I'm working on a bunch of other stuff right now, and like this I just know is coming up a lot, so I wanted to talk about this because I feel like I've been going absolutely insane, and I don't know, feel like I've been fucking gaslit or whatever by viewers. So, let me talk about this. I saw Ted actually talk about this in his video, and that's what made me go like, aha, I'm not crazy. This isn't like me having my own like fucking negativity behavior issue or something like that. This is just, it's a feedback issue that we have with audiences sometimes. So let me tell you the way that this goes, right? I have seen some commenters get on one of my videos and like tell me that they're disappointed that like I'm back talking about D&D stuff again, which like I'm really not in any large measure, by the way. But anyways, someone will get into my comments and say that they're upset seeing that like we've gone back over to covering more D&D stuff. This happens way worse on Reddit, by the way. Yeah, RPG subreddit's fucking terrible. All right, someone will get in my comment sections and say that they're disappointed to see that like I've apparently crawled back and I'm covering D&D content, and then I'll see that same person within like literally 10 minutes go over and call me a hater in another video where like I'm talking about how something's disappointing about D&D. I have seen this happen with at least like 3 accounts that like, oh my God, this drives me crazy. Okay. So you can say that like this person's a troll, you can block it, do whatever. Once this starts to happen enough and you start to feel like, oh, okay, well that person's planted the seed. Maybe I am being too negative. Maybe that's the reason why people don't want to work with me or some other shit like that. Right. You start to like have this whole like just exploding ideas as to what this could actually be. Is this the end of your career because you were negative on a thing, or you were positive on a thing? And so it's ridiculous. Regarding this whole thing with sponsorships, specifically from Wizards of the Coast, right? So I have friends who are content creators who were approached about sponsored videos for the Wizards of the Coast stuff. So here's the deal. If they have previously taken money from other publishers for like, I don't know, like let's say Free League hits me up and they're like, hey, we really want you to do a review of the Alien RPG. And I'm like, cool, okay. Well, here's my standard rate for a review. Let me know what you all think, right? And then Wizards of the Coast approaches me and I'm like, yeah, but these are those guys who did the OGL thing last year. I shouldn't take money from them. I would be really worried about my image. But I also know that if I don't cover this right here, that I'm going to fall behind in the algorithm, and this is what people do want to watch, right? Especially whenever I just saw that Alien RPG review got like 5,000 views, and my channel sends an average like, 50K. Then I'm like, yeah, well, people are just watching D&D content right now, huh? as much as you want to think that like this is I don't know, some creator could just drop something and then magically things change and then suddenly the entire scene is just different and they're all checking out like Vaesen or Merkborg or what the hell ever now. That's not the way that this works, all right? There's no like Disney movie way in which we can overthrow D&D or anything like that. We just need to get that illusion out of here. But going back to that metaphor, right? So if that creator was not taking money from Wizards of the Coast, now the criticism for that creator is going to turn into, wait, you charged this other person for a sponsorship and you didn't charge WotC? Now you're a shill. You either, number one, don't want that creator to make any money from sponsorships whatsoever or not to have sponsorships, right? Sponsorships are not going away. Like, I don't know what to tell you there. That's going to be around. We have just discovered this is a way that creators who are already paid an extremely low rate from YouTube are able to make a living doing this thing. If you really do support a creator and you want to see them maybe go in the route of no sponsorships, maybe go subscribe to their Patreon. Maybe let them know with your dollar what you think instead of just leaving bullshit in their comment section. If a creator is not disclosing this sponsorship, that's a problem with that creator where they just need to disclose it. I mean, this is standard ML practices for whenever you do take on a sponsored review. Really, I mean, a sponsorship of any kind, honestly. It's a simple click of a button. They're on YouTube. Let people know in your video. Yeah, this is a huge case of don't hate the player, hate the game. And that's the way it is, guys. This is a piece of the architecture that is not going anywhere, okay? So sponsorships, look, if you want to make it easier for a creator to be able to do this stuff and not have to starve, maybe go support their Patreon, right? The thing that is not helping is to go up into their comment sections or over on their social medias or write articles about them that are accusing them of being shills. I think there's a lot of envy for the fact that some people think that what creators do is fairly easy. I think there's also a lot of anger with what happened with Wizards of the Coast last year. I think that there's a lot of complicated feelings that lead into the kind of tension we currently have going on in the TTRPG scene. Here's my deal, right? I'm the guy that broke the OGL story, okay? I broke it November 2022. I'm going to let you all know this right now. I have emailed Wizards of the Coast. I screwed up with the AI art thing in December. I thought that I had gotten a tip-off from reliable sources about that thing. Didn't do my due diligence because I'm not a fucking journalist. I went to school for jazz music, all right? Like, look, I screwed that up. I made the apologies. I have, as of late, though, reached out and tried to extend an olive branch to Wizards of the Coast because there is such a thing as professional courtesy. Me just blindly hating on Wizards of the Coast because, like, what good does that do, right? What's happening there? If all it's doing is just injecting, that is hating. That is just hating on Wizards of the Coast. However, if I'm like critiquing a book, or like I'm showing, hey, WotC, you have been really, like, I have been really critical of your work in the past. And if you're willing to allow some people to have that kind of a critical look at your books, I think it enhances your brand and your cred, and be willing to work with people who, by the way, yeah, this is something that actually Darrington Press did, and I am very impressed with them, by the way. I tore Candela Obscura apart. I still have like the most watched, the most viewed review on that right there. Darrington Press reached out to me and sent me preview copies of, like, a physical copy of Daggerheart, right? Because they are open to criticism. There is a difference between critique and hate. There's a difference between payola and a sponsorship, okay? So, look, these creators that have done this stuff, they want to work with Wizards of the Coast. Part of the sponsorship is also keeping them on the same playing field as all their other sponsors, okay? So, if other publishers are trying to reach out and, like, you know, work with them in whatever capacity, they're going to have to pay the same entry fee that Wizards of the Coast is. As somebody who has done a lot of coverage on other TTRPGs, and then anytime I cover a Wizards of the Coast kind of thing, it still tends to do well, and I have a community that, like, over on my Discord server, I have a TTRPG general channel that keeps going back to talking about D&D no matter what. I've tried to change the name. I've tried to change the branding. No matter what, D&D just keeps hogging up all the oxygen in the room, right? I've tried this stuff, tried multiple different methods. No matter what, people are still looking at this game. People are still checking it out. People are still watching videos. In all reality, if you're connected into the TTRPG industry and you watch a lot of content like this, you have to realize you represent most likely 1%, if not less, of the mainstream like TTRPG players. Some of the things that you can do to help other creators know that, like, hey, you want them to cover other TTRPGs is like engage with that content. Okay. We don't like, people will probably be checking out comments and stuff, but one comment does not mean anything nearly as much as seeing an actual numbers spike on other TTRPG content. Okay. I have been trying to do this now for a year. It's been rough. It is a climb. Okay. And honestly, this is the thing that we have to tell the TTRPG wider fandom here. Learn other games, check out other systems. Okay. I'm not saying this just to like dog on D&D 5e. Literally, like, here, look, this is my bookshelf over here. You're seeing, I've got Basic Expert here. I've got like Cyborg here, Old School Essentials. That's a solo TTRPG thing. These are a lot of Basic Expert adventures right here. Old School Essentials stuff. Pirate Board, Death in Space, Frontier Scum, Gardens of Vienna's System Neutral, like Mothership right here. Merkborg, Into the Odd, Into the Weird and the Wild, Glitter Hearts by David Letterman. Wow, Greg Leatherman, David Letterman. Wow, Jesus. Shadowdark right there, right? I've got Eat the Reich over here as well because I just did the video on that one. Yeah. I promise you, just about nobody has more TTRPG books than TTRPG YouTubers. If you think that's like it, look, this whole thing over here, this is all full. That top shelf right here, this is like mostly Free League. There's some Dungeon Crawl Classic stuff over here as well. This book right down in here are sort of miscellaneous stuff. There's a Hex Crawl toolkit right there. I've got other TTRPG books down here, mostly starter kits. I have TTRPG influencers probably play a lot more games than you think, right? The problem is here in the YouTube sphere, the only thing that we can really get people to watch is D&D content, okay? It's a hard life out here. Look, the best thing that you can do in these kinds of situations, if you don't like something that's going on, is work to be the change and like put that energy in another constructive area, right? Just like take that energy, put it towards like, oh, I want to actually maybe pick up a different book today and see what this other system is like. If you are interested at all in looking into a different system, I would recommend, especially if you're playing 5e and you're thinking another system's going to be too complicated, don't start with Pathfinder. Start with Merkborg. Start with Shadowdark. Into the Odd. I had Dragonbane over here. Yes. Here we go. Easy. This is not going to feel like a huge divergence away from 5e. Merkborg, fantastic D20 system. A lot of like heavy death comedy. It's hilarious. Okay. Shadowdark, it's like 5e, but pulled back in on the damage structure of like Basic Expert. Fantastic. It's up for Product of the Year. I'm actually thinking that either this or Eat the Reich is going to win it. I'm putting my money on this right here. Into the Odd is one of the most influential and like just major rules light systems out there. Incredibly simple by Chris McDowell. I actually got Chris McDowell to sign this version at Gen Con last year. Yeah, right. Into the Odd inspired a lot of what I was doing with Vagabond. The game I think is probably most influential on Vagabond, though, is Dragonbane right here by Free League. Again, another D20, but this time a roll under system. And this is, wow. Talk about like actually making you feel like the action is really actually happening instead of feeling like I'm playing a bit of a tactic simulator game. Yeah, I don't know. Dragonbane. This is closer to like an action RPG than D&D for sure. Anyways, I've talked about this stuff. I'm trying to focus in on making a lot more short-spaced content to try and get more people's eyes on different systems. We're all trying out here. It's hard out here for a bitch. Anyways, with that one, I'm going to drink my coffee. I've got more work I got to do on Vagabond, and I don't know, I might stream later. But anyways, guys, sponsored content is here to stay. That's the way it's going to be. D&D is going to be around for a while. I don't know if you thought that, like, maybe you had the idea that Wizards of the Coast was eventually going to get dethroned by something, and therein, like, we needed to, I don't know, find the sword that would slay the dragon. That's just not, sorry, real life ain't that Disney bullshit. So, anyways, guys, take it easy on content creators. All right, really. We're trying. We're really trying, especially whenever a hobby is in this much flux with a bunch of just stuff, right? You know, it's hard. Okay. Anyways, that's gonna be it. I hope you all are staying safe, staying healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.